right, cool. What are you doing this time?
Well, Gary, let me take this bag off of your head. Ta-da!
Oh.
We're in a garage, Gary.
Oh, hey.
Yeah.
It's a garage.
I see you trying to dance, but you're tied to that chair.
I know.
Yep.
Well, I'm just saying. You can't take away my spirit.
Let me turn on this radio.
Oh,
Yeah.
there goes my spirit. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the
Steelers
Steve Miller
wheel.
rant.
Yeah.
No,
No,
that's
Steelers wheel.
I was
Come
just
on.
changing the subject.
Oh, you want to make me angrier?
I just want to talk about SMB.
Oh, nobody's gonna be flying like an eagle, Gary. You may notice. Let me tilt this bucket. Let me pull this rope. Let me carry some gasoline over top of you.
This is pretty.
Yep. No, yeah. So, Gary, these are some pliers. I'm gonna dance on over to you. Oh, no. All right, open up wide. Open your mouth.
You don't look like you could. You kind of can.
Yeah, okay. I'm just gonna. We're gonna grab a hold of this tooth here, and I'm gonna yank.
Oh man, my
Gary.
crippling gum disease, man, that didn't hurt.
Real quick. Here's this napkin. Spit into the napkin, Gary. All right. Okay, I'm going to take this. I'm going to rub it together. And then whatever this says on the napkin is what we're going to play.
Okay. Is it going to be GTA 5?
Unfurl.
That seems appropriate.
And, it says Kane and Lynch 2, Dog Days.
Who is Dog Days?
Okay, I've untied you from the chair.
Okay, thank you. Let's do the episode. That's a bad tooth anyway. So I appreciate that. But
I did you a favor. No, this is your HMO.
Who are you calling an HMO? I understand.
No HMO. I'm positive.
No HMO.
Gary, I'm positive that some shitty tone deaf insurance guy used no HMO in like a slide in a PowerPoint.
Oh, for sure. Like, dude, like 100%.
Here's how much I got into that skit, Gary. I grabbed it. I like when I was like, "Hey, spit into this." I grabbed the tissue and I held it toward the screen.
Oh, 3D.
What's your name, Gary?
Gary. And you are Cole.
I'm Cole.
And this is Abject Suffering. So we play bad games. You don't have to. What the fuck are you doing this to us? Like,
this is a backer demand.
Okay. Good to know.
Good to know. So this is let me just read here. So it's Frederick who suggested this one. How can I love a game and still think it's a real stinker? Beneath the repetitive and bland missions, I don't think I've ever played a game with characters so alive, deeply flawed and scarred, dropped into an implausible and surreal scenario. Stuff like that.
So real quick, I just want to say, like, get out of the way that, like, I for my limited time, I don't agree with that. And I'm going to say mean things about these characters. Yeah. It doesn't mean I think mean things about you, Frederick. Yes. I think very good things about you. Yeah. So I did not like this.
Yeah. It's, so this is Kane and Lynch 2, the sequel to the game that nearly ended Jeff Gerstmann's career. So made by IO Interactive, the same people who do Hitman, right? And it is kind of their attempt to make a gritty action third-person shooter kind of game.
Well, after they had done like Kane and Lynch Dead Man's Party.
Yeah, I mean that's what I mean. Like this series.
Like, yeah.
Well, we did. The American public saying, "Hey, give me a second one."
More Kane and Lynch. More Kane and Lynch. So.
I was about to work out some like paragraph long thing about if Kane isn't there, people should be saying, "Where's Kane?" If Lynch isn't there, just work through as many combinations as I can.
Are you a Kane man or a Lynch man?
I'm Kane in the sheets and Lynch in the sheets. Both sheets, yep.
Please don't put Lynch in the sheets.
I don't put either of them in the streets either. Yeah. In the streets, they're a terrible, terrible burden on society. We have to put them in the sheets just so they don't go out there and kill 1 million people.
Yeah, these people would be hunted to extinction in real life. This is I never played these before. Right. These are infamous. The first one because of that Jeff Gerstmann's career thing. And for people who don't know, just in case you don't, like the one sentence summation is that he didn't like it. He wrote a bad review of it. but they had bought tons of advertising on GameSpot and kind of pressed the publisher to fire him.
Yeah.
It's more complicated than that, but that's like the simple version of it.
And, you know, so he got fired, and it was not when he should have gotten fired, which is when he gave Twilight Princess an 8.8.
100%.
Yeah.
That game is like a 4. So like he got fired for that. The game must have sold well enough to make this one. Like,
it was fairly popular. Like, in term, you know, it was kind of an early entry into like co-op based third person shooters on like 360. I think it was, if not concurrent with, at least it came out shortly after Gears of War did. So people were kind of hungry for this. Had a really cool, like the series has a good multiplayer hook to it, where it's co-op, but you have the opportunity to betray your party members to get like more points on the back of it. Like, that is a pretty good idea that I think has been done pretty good. Like, people say good things about like Payday, which kind of took that and made an entire like heist. Scheme
Payday is a little weird because there's not a story. Like, there's just little scenario based things. Weirdly enough, that's the premise of the Bloodborne card game too.
Oh wow.
So it's got that going for it. I didn't expect it to be popular, but I understand like 2010 curve. Like, people love this kind of thing. They made a sequel. This is very reviled, even though there are people who really dig it, which we'll talk about when we get to talk about some GameFAQs stuff. For me, like, for the kind of person who, like, you know, the taste that I crave and stuff, this is kind of like the opposite of what I want in a game. Like, I'm friends with a lot of like kind of indie folks, indie game people and stuff on Twitter, and a lot of them have absolutely zero tolerance for any kind of like AAA violent experience thing. Like, to them, there's like, why would you ever play Mankind Divided? Like, you're just going to shoot a bunch of people and stuff. I don't go with that. Like, I love those games. Yeah. You know? So it's not just like violence is a deal breaker for me. This is gratuitous to a degree that like actually offends my sensibilities a little bit.
Yeah.
This game is too violent to no end. Yeah. Like, I get this, you know, and maybe I haven't played the first one, so maybe there's something to these characters, but it seems like the one common thread, even people who like the game, are just like, these are really unpleasant dudes. Doing real shitty things for like 5 hours.
From what I understand, like, you have all the context that you need. Like, in the first game, I think Kane, who is the straight-laced guy with the sideburns.
One of them looks normal. One of them looks like your dad right after the divorce. Like, the other one is like, I've been sleeping in a car for years.
Yeah.
Do you want to play an action game as George Carlin? Like,
he's got a really... So Lynch in Kane and Lynch 2 looks kind of like if Gallagher had an accident at the hair straightener factory.
I'm Gallagher 5.
Just Gallagher 5. But he's rocking the chrome dome, but very long hair on the sides.
The skullet.
Yep. Yeah. There we go. Is that a word for it?
Yeah. Huh. Yeah. It's a skullet. It's like the bald mullet.
It's so skeezy. Ugh.
He's so gross. And like the texture, the way this is, that over the shoulder thing, you're so close to his hair the entire time. Like, my main, you know, other than the violence, I just wanted to get away from fucking Lynch's head.
I kept making you run forward, but the camera followed.
Well, that camera, we'll get into that.
That's a whole subheader on this.
Yeah.
But you have all the context that you need on both Kane and Lynch. Kane is a criminal who wants to go straight. I think he's straight up like, I just want my kids back kind of guy. Whereas Lynch is legitimately unhinged. By Kane and Lynch 2, he's on medication. I think that changes, but like, it's, you know, Lynch is this guy from his past who keeps on dragging him back. It is literally almost exactly Grand Theft Auto 5.
Hey, buddy, do you want to go murder like 70 people?
And that's just on the way to our ride?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, we had to go talk to this guy. Do you want to murder 70 people on the way? Like, it is ridiculous. Like, and I get that it's like the tone it's going for, and like, I can't emphasize enough that I am not a prude about violence. Like, I like that shit. Like, you can do an ultra violent movie, and I can get into violence for like, even just for like its own, like, I can take pleasure in it. Yeah. Not like free of context, but with certain contexts, I can take a lot of pleasure in it.
Oh yeah.
You know, like, I've watched like a bunch of, and this is tangential, but like, I've watched like a bunch of clips from Inglourious Bastards when I've just been like, boy, I want to watch some Nazis get the shit beat out of them right now because
the world is a horrible nightmare hellscape.
Because you know, that seems like the right thing to do, right? Like, you know, it is okay to beat the shit out of a Nazi. So it's like, I can get into that. I'm not a prude about it. It's just the fact that, like, there's no questioning of it. It's just like, we're in it again. Let's go do like a couple times. Like, what'd you drag me into? Kill, 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 kill. Oh, we have to get this guy. Trust me. Kill, 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 kill. It's ridiculous.
They're just doing it to survive. They're hard men making tough choices.
They're 100% not. Like, that is not what's going on whatsoever. It's also, this game does a thing where there's civilians in the game. And there's no comment. Like, first of all, they don't react to the violence very well.
No, they just kind of like stroll on by. I think they're just
sometimes they just stand and smile. It's real weird.
They think that you're like a Tyrannosaurus Rex from Tyrannosaurus Park, not Tyrannosaurus. Tyrannosaurus Park.
That old movie.
The DVD knockoff of Jurassic Park. No, just like if they stand still and don't make a lot of motion,
or they think that like it's like they think this is all just going on around them and they're not involved. They're like Westworld. Guests, but you can just shoot them, and nobody. You don't say anything. Kane doesn't say anything. Like, we went through somebody's house, and like Kane was like, "Don't mind us, folks," as we like killed 3 guys in his living room. And then the person was just staying there, staring, like blinking. You know, and I was like, I wonder, like this is an RP server. Lynch probably isn't going to stand for those aggressive blinks. And then Lynch, my little Lynch man, shot him in the face, and like nobody does anything. It's like really weird.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what they should have done instead of that, I guess. Like if they should have made them like, I guess they should all run because there's maniacs going through killing literally 100 people in their apartment building.
So it's weird. What is more disturbing? I honestly don't know the question. This isn't leading. Like, I would need to see both, but like, I'm kind of happy that they're not. Okay, so what is more disturbing? Them just being completely non-reactive, or them like screaming and begging for their life? I would much rather them just be non-reactive, because I could pass that off as a programming error, as opposed to like, oh, let's just make hatred
the
5 years before
pleasure,
hatred comes out. Yeah.
Exactly. Like, it would just become like Postal. I think that running would have been the good option.
Yeah.
Which also would have felt much more realistic than anything that actually happens.
Yeah. Or at least get out of the way. Like, there are a number of games that have people flinch or dodge out of the way when your reticle goes over them. Like,
sure. Yeah, react to this like weird skullet uncle like pointing a gun at you in your own living room.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's
also like immediately starts with that naked woman too. Like, it's like you're chasing a guy who's having sex with a girl when he comes in. First of all, like, you dipshit, they're like, let's just kick the door down, and then the guy who's there is ready for them and just fires a clip into them because like, why is he pointing at his door?
Is he using the Uzi as a prop in his couch fucking?
In his sex act? Yeah, he's like rubbing the clip onto her nipples, and like, and then he just shoots him, and they're just like, oh no, we got to get him. Like, this is fine. Yeah. I can't count the number of times Lynch got shot during this.
Oh yeah.
Like, one of the things that in the reviews, the people who like this, where it's like, oh, it's realistic, you go down really quick, like gunfights are harsh and chaotic, and like, no, Lynch got shot a lot. In my Lynch did. Also, cover doesn't protect you from being shot.
Nope.
It drives me fucking up the wall. Like, I'm trying, like, I can just play a stop and pop cover game. One of the best games I played this year, 50 Cent, Blood in the Sand. It is, you can just, but you just, it doesn't matter whether you're in cover, you just get shot. All the time. Like, Lynch just kept getting shot in the back, man.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's it is a very loose shooter, like to the point of being mediocre. And 50 Cent was kind of a mediocre shooter, but they garnished it with a bunch of
mediocre shooter with like sublime theming.
Yeah.
Versus a mediocre shooter with really repugnant theming.
Yeah. Well, like repugnant theming, like, and so the tough gritty thing, I also am not a prude about violence, but that's kind of changing as I get older. Like, I have like more visceral reactions to it, which heightens it, a lot. Like, a lot of things that I used to take without question, I go back to and have a different perspective on it. It's called growing up. Like, it doesn't mean you have to dislike it. Your relationship with it changes. If this were a movie, and it very much is trying to be cinematic, it's cribbing from, Tarantino. We just praised a Tarantino work. This is a movie I would not want to see, because it is just kind of organized crime dudes doing organized crime stuff. I understand there probably is more to it. You guys played just the first couple of missions. You don't get the whole scene of it, man. But it's like they're running guns, to Eastern Africa to
to supply warlords with.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, whatever their job is, there's no context to it, and I don't know them as characters from this game. Again, maybe I know them from the first one. But as is, it's just like you're immediately plopped down in just like Murderfest 2000. And like, they're getting shot at. I'm not saying they shouldn't defend themselves. But like, they could also like, and none of their goals so far seem like the kind of thing where you would kill infinite people for.
Yeah.
So that's kind of frustrating, and the play is just kind of boring. Mm-hmm. Like I don't hate a stop and pop cover shooter. You know, I can play whack-a-mole. Mm-hmm. Like it can be fun, but this expression of the mechanics doesn't seem good to me.
Yeah.
You know, getting shot when I'm in cover constantly. You know, the every weapon other than the pistol has like no range,
right,
and so much spread. So if you have an Uzi, like I emptied what felt like a clip into a dude many a time mm-hmm. without him actually falling.
Yeah, they and they throw like there are at least 5 different submachine guns or something, and it's very easy when you're trying to pick up ammo for a different thing to just like get rid of all weapons aside from these, you know, just useless pieces of garbage, gun-shaped garbage. Yeah.
And the shotgun has really good range.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing? It's the exact opposite of how this should work. But it's very repetitive. The very beginning of it, like the first 2, I played through the first 2 missions.
Yeah.
And it is just very, you know, run up to this thing that is very clearly a combat arena, you know, either with waist high counters or cars or whatever. And then just, you know, shoot some nameless, you know, dudes mm-hmm. who are going to run out and just kind of spawn what like feels like endlessly. Mm-hmm. It's very bad.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I got bored and frustrated with it really quickly. There was one part where I thought something really cool would happen. And the second level, I was on the streets and a truck was coming down the street. And I'm like, oh, he's coming behind these people. I wonder if like, since I'm a real badass, I can shoot the driver and he'll crash into these people. You know, like this would be kind of a cool mechanic. No, the truck's just bulletproof.
Yeah.
And there's no interactivity. It's just like going through, this might as well be wireframe, mm-hmm. you know, everything you move through.
Yeah.
And so and this isn't helped by, let's talk about this UI stuff, like this camera and kind of like.
So if you were to describe to me, like in principle, I think this could actually be really cool if it was used any kind of effect. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what's happening is this is being presented like they were inspired by documentary stuff and by user-generated content, which should not be used. Like, nope, that shouldn't describe anything.
You should have to have a license to say the word content.
that word should be kept behind glass. But no, like just what they've done is they've kind of encoded this video, run these filters over top of it to make it look like digital video, either like a handy cam that's in really bad shape, or like a bad cell phone video with like digital artifacting and degradation. It's got the squares and stuff like that as it goes along. And the entire thing is it is shot as though there is a person following along behind Kane and Lynch and cameraman, you know, covering all of this. Why?
For their blog. Yeah.
These 2 guys came to Shanghai. I need to document their war crimes for The Hague.
This is like, you're definitely taking part in Exhibit A. in the first step that will lead to a state execution.
Yeah. And if this game doesn't end with them getting on that plane to Ecuador and Lynch turning around and pointing his gun at the camera and saying, all right, you're done here, and then shooting it, and then the camera falling, I really wish that would be the way it ends.
That would be great. It actually just ends with them getting on the plane and then credits happen incredibly abruptly.
Our home planet needs us.
Like, we made it. Kane and Lynch on to the future. When Lynch gets shot, the artifacting starts, which made me think that like maybe he was in a Matrix or something.
He's in the Animus.
Yeah, why is his like digital receptors glitching out when he gets shot? Like, is like this whole thing like a Lynch, you know, cyber trip? The words of the developers, they say every aspect of the game has been designed to deliver a fresh perspective to the words intensity and realism. But the stupid thing is when it's still. Mm-hmm. Like there's still kind of a little bit of this filter, but it looks just like a shooter.
Yeah.
When you move, the camera just goes fucking ape shit and like just like wiggles and gets blurry and like it interferes with the game. Mm-hmm. Like it makes it harder to play.
Yeah. And guess who has a lot of problems with motion sickness? This guy who has 2 thumbs and found this game nearly unplayable because of this. This guy.
I was wondering whether that would be a thing because it's you know nearly a thing for me, and I don't really have problems with motion sickness so much. I got to I said the second level, right? So like, first of all, in the first level they introduced this mechanic where you can pull like at this fish market. There's just tons of gas cans around because why not?
Yeah,
and
it's
can
for preparing the fish. You have to render the fish.
Yeah. You have to create like fish soap. Right. So you can throw them and create little like landmine things. Fair enough. In the second level, those have been replaced by fire extinguishers, which also explode like in huge fiery explosions when you shoot them. I don't think that works with fire extinguishers.
It takes some people out. I think that it mostly acts as a blinding thing, but I still use them like they were grenades.
I think it hurt people. I mean, it's hard to tell because it's the unmatched realism and intensity of the chaotic gunfight, but I felt like it hurt people. Yeah. The other thing that happened is level 2 introduces dogs, and the dogs are impossible to deal with while you're trying to do a shooter. Like they rush you, and like the first time dogs showed up, that's as far as I got. Dogs killed me. But then I watched the Zero Punctuation review on it, and he talked about how the final encounter is with 2 big dogs. And then I had the moment I was like,
two gigantic t-shirts? Yeah. Okay.
How are we going to get out of this, Kane?
Listen, we got to wear them.
The two gigantic like mastiffs or whatever, and I was like, oh my god, it's called Dog Days because they fight a lot of dogs. Holy shit.
In a game about like bank heist people, like the term Dog Days, like that has a connotation to it. It should not be that literal.
But it's literally about you fight dogs now. It's amazing.
We fight dogs now.
Kane Lynch 3, we fight dogs now. It's incredible. Like, I was just like, oh man, I'm actually going to fight a lot of dogs in this game. And then like looked up like other levels and stuff, and like the dogs are a recurring presence until they get to the capstone dogs. There are 2 bigger ones that you fight before you can get on your plane to Ecuador.
2 slightly bigger dogs.
There's like 3 things Kane hates. It's every other human, dogs, and slightly bigger dogs.
You may be thinking, aren't those just ponies? No, keep up.
No. Yeah, exactly. Lynch don't have time for this shit.
Yeah, and so the title is nonsensical, but it makes a lot more sense now. I didn't make the connection. I didn't think that the dogs would be a thing.
Who would?
This also, it's a game like this is. I would say this is Wikipedia said it best, but this is actually just a thing that happened in the world, and Wikipedia is reporting on it. The producers of the game were sued in court in Beijing for vilifying the Chinese people. This is a game that is so objectionable that a country sued it, and I guess won.
That's amazing. Oh, that's real good.
Because it takes place in Shanghai, and it's very much like a Hangover 2, like, oh boy, this is a strange city where nobody speaks the language and things just aren't like they are at home.
Yeah, they're just weird zombies that come up and shoot us. So yeah, we get to shoot them because eventually this crime boss, and again in reading the thing, like Glaza, you have this power where he eventually early on it's gangsters, but eventually he sticks the army on you. Mm-hmm. So the boys have to go fight the army of Beijing. Real, like how, like just like based on just playing that opening level, right? Like if you didn't know anything else, like how many like gratuitous torture scenes would you guess are in this game? I don't actually know the answer. I'm just saying like it gives that impression where you're like, oh man.
Well, it opens with one.
Yeah. It opens with one and it has that feel to it. Like, oh man, this is going to be taking pleasure in torturing people kind of game.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like the thing that I've heard about this game the most, aside from just the YouTube artifacting thing, is like there's a set piece in the middle where you have been tortured. And like it's a mission called like 1,000 Cuts or something like that. Like they've come at you and just cut you to pieces with like a box cutter in a bathroom, and then both Kane and Lynch have to fight their way out of the compound naked while also bleeding profusely.
Oh my god! Can you imagine? You don't even have to put in the code.
I don't know if you can see any taint, like when you lean over to reload, but
taint and Lynch.
Taint and Lynch. That's not a t-shirt. That's not a t-shirt.
Oh no, that's like, yeah. I mean, I guess it's good that torture is going round and around. I'm so glad that like it's an equal opportunity torturer.
Yeah.
I don't have mixed feelings on torture. I feel like it's pretty condemnable in general. Like I don't. But it feel like a good tool to me. Yeah.
But it shows how far these men have fallen.
Yeah, I don't. I wish they would rather just show that like through dialogue or something like that, or story beats where I'm not murdering people. Like I guess if the point is they're scumbag murderers and all you show is them being scumbags and murdering, like I get the point that they're scumbag murderers.
Yeah.
It's just not a very interesting like when I enjoy violence and when I enjoy stories where the bad guy is the protagonist, which like I do sometimes, like I don't hate that. Mm-hmm. They're interesting evil. Yeah. You know, this is kind of like, what if like two just like thugs, like idiot mob thugs, were indestructible?
Yeah.
You know, like could just regenerate health forever. You know, like, hello, I'm a bulletproof idiot. Give me all your money. He just passes the bank teller a note.
Yeah.
It sounds like, hello, I am bulletproof idiot. Please give me all of your money.
And if you're out there banging, again, I'm so sorry, Frederick. If you're out there banging on your dashboard saying, you guys, you need to play the first one. Like, I understand. Like I said, you know, I just want my kids back. You know, like the first game opens up with Kane reading a letter to his daughter as he's on death row. Like, there used to be stakes as presented in this game. Like, Lynch is somebody who's fallen into really bad times and like brought his friend who was out of the life back into it. But his friend doesn't protest.
Yeah, his friend doesn't. It's pretty much.
I was about to say very much at all. Doesn't protest at all.
He's inconvenienced by it.
Yeah.
Like he's like, what did you get me into?
Yeah.
You know, he's not like, hey, I want to actually see my daughter. Maybe we should stop murdering strangers in a contextless void. Like, and I feel like Frederick, like, you know, he backs the, you know, listen to the show enough to get a backer episode, like probably could have guessed what position we're going to take on it, you know?
Yeah.
You know, so hopefully he's you know, personally offended. I don't apologize for not liking the game, but I also think that, you know, this is not unpredictable as a reaction. The, yeah, I mean, and you know, there is a world in which this could have been fun for me. It's also a co-op game, which like I will play a co-op game even if it's kind of shitty. Yeah. So like, I can imagine fun being had with it. It's just like that is not the only standard for something being kind of good to me.
And weirdly enough, I'm kind of more okay with this than something like Army of Two. Yeah. Which is more explicitly like military and like state-backed kind of stuff. Like the implications of this just being two psychopaths, you know, cutting a tear they're actually less upsetting to me than something like Army of Two, where like you're given moral choices and stuff like that. Like, no, I don't need that. Nor do I want that.
I'm even in some ways more okay with this and I still haven't played it and I don't want to start like a long side debate about it. But like things at least I have maybe they're presented with more nuance. I somehow doubt it. But things I've read about like GTA 5.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, oh, this is just like, boy, those take back the night women sure need to be put in their place. You know, like that kind of like, you know, we're the merry jesters who hold a dark mirror up to society thing.
Yeah.
This at least is a little bit more pure than that. You know, something that I recommend everyone watch, and it's very long, so I understand why people don't do it. But Noah Gervais, who is a YouTube critic I like a lot, did a really good video on Postal 2 and Hatred, Postal 3 and Hatred. And it's really, really good. And I recommend it, like anybody who doesn't think, you know, that people who whine about those games as being, you know, kind of like toxically masculine, who don't think that's a thing. He has a really good like bit on that, you know, where he's sympathetic to the people who say that's not a thing. And he tells like an anecdote about a car that he loved, like getting destroyed. And it's like the thing that it's a really good, like the thing that is the crystalline example of toxic masculinity is the weird way that in high school guys would just like smash something to smash something. You know, and it was just kind of like, let's express this anger that we feel all the time to something that doesn't deserve it.
Yeah, let's manifest our feeling in the physical world in a way that reduces the usefulness or existence of something else.
Yeah, let's destroy something.
Yeah.
You know, like, and like this feels like an expression of that. This kind of like nihilist, like what if two psychopaths did a bunch of psychopath shit? You know, is like very nihilist.
And what I will say, so I know you didn't want to do like a defense of Grand Theft Auto 5.
Like,
at least Grand Theft Auto 5, like it has variety. This is very one note in a lot of ways. Yeah. Like this is a far less accessible game. All the theming and stuff taken away from it.
And I believe that 100%. Like I'm, you know, at some point I will play GTA 5 when it goes on cheap enough sale. Like it was just $30. $30 isn't good enough for me. But it'll get there. Yeah. I'm curious about it. You know, I think that kind of like we're actually doing satirists perspective that Rockstar has is kind of grosser to me than this kind of gleeful nihilism that is somehow manages to not be very gleeful. You know,
this very grim dirge-like nihilism,
like workman-like nihilism. You know, gotta put in my own nihilism for the day. You know, come on, Lynch, let's go punch in at the murder mine. Like. I don't know. That's what this feels like to me.
Yeah.
So GameFAQs is pretty amazing about this game.
It's the most active board that we've ever, like, just across all of them, just 29 pages or something like that on the Xbox board or something like that. It's crazy how much people are like all about this.
People are really into it. Like, some people don't like it, you know, so there's people talking shit, but a lot of people are really into it. And like, I'm not explicitly making fun of them for this. This is not like GameFAQs Gold where it's like, look at this weirdo. It's more just like illustrative of sensibilities that are different than mine. Right. They're not necessarily worse, but they're just like, oh, like this is the opposite of how I feel about this, you know? Yeah. Like the message board, the shooters for adult gamers. The Kane Lynch games are the only shooters I've played where I actually feel as if I'm in a firefight. Now that I've been in one in IRL.
Oh, I saw this one.
Yeah, these are the only shooter games I felt less like a Rambo-like, where shooting and the weapons themselves were merely a means to an end to survive and progress. Shooting the enemy is more about surviving than kill counts and headshots. And like, I didn't have that at all. Like, it just felt like like the sheer volume of people who throw themselves into your bullets is staggering. Yeah. You know, like there are games that do that kind of like super lethal gameplay, you know, and I respect that too. Like I like a Bushido blade with guns, but AKA Bushido blade too. But like the, I mean, I don't, you know, this did not feel like that to me.
Yeah. It's one of those things where like, I wish that there was like a, you know, somebody could hover over the word and see exactly how that person meant to use it. Because like realism or grittiness or, you know, grown up adult, like all of those are very, very loaded terms for the positive, aside from like gritty. I'm done with gritty at this point.
Yeah.
I can see it.
When people say it, they usually are trying to say positive unless they're going gritty. Yeah. You know, they say like, this is a gritty. Like, unless they give it specifically the stupid voice. Like they,
right. So tone is a factor, but like I've seen those words applied to so many different things that it's like, what are you seeing that I'm not? Or, you know, like, what does this word mean to you? Just like, I can't meet you on this one. I can't.
Yeah. Well, for me, like something like, you know, Spec Ops is gritty. Yeah. Right. Like, and that's really, I like it. I dig it. Like that is, you know, that works for me. Yeah. You know,
notice my restraint that I didn't say like it was full of sand.
Yeah.
Because it takes place in the middle of a sandstorm. Yeah. A lot of people died.
It's a good restraint. Yeah. Good one, Cole.
Thanks.
Yeah. But yeah, like that's gritty, you know, because it's dealing with like, it's, you know, people get murdered in it, but it's in dealing with insanity and like guilt about murder and stuff like that. Yeah. Like this is a little bit too like, fantasy like.
Yeah. Well, so where I fall down on this is when I see realistic, you know, or grown up, I think like just not cartoony. Like there's nothing overtly slapstick about this, like in the presentation. You know, like this is presented entirely straight-laced, disregarding the fact that it is pretty fucking cartoony that when you finally catch the guy that you're chasing who was naked, he decides to slit his own throat instead of speak to you.
Yeah. Like, yeah. In a way that like isn't a thing.
Yeah. He might as well have like pulled a cable on the wall and like a piano fell on him.
Something like that. There's a very similar thing that happens to that in the Daredevil TV show. And it's so silly. Like that show is very like real, quote unquote realistic, like, realistic gritty. And that happens in the show. And it's like some guy kills himself by impaling his face with like a spike.
Oh, Jesus.
And I'm like, why, if you're going to kill yourself, like, you know, like just doing it the most painful graphic way possible is always funny to me.
Don't do it like that guy who died in the intro to the Mission Impossible movie.
Exactly.
On top of the elevator.
Like this, it's always because a crime boss is going to torture you eventually. Yeah. So it's like, oh, this crime boss is going to torture me so bad that I'm going to go like get the top of my head ripped off by a helicopter rotor or something like that. You know,
I'm gonna put on my moon boots under the helicopter. I'll be fine.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, because I don't want to get tortured. Like, I don't want to be tortured. Yeah. It's one of my greatest fears. I get it. But like, it ends up being silly in fiction because it's like kind of like a cliche shorthand thing that always rings false to me. Yeah. You know, I don't know. But this like super didn't work for me. I've been watching a Kane Lynch Dog Days the Game movie where it's just the dialogue and cinematic scenes in the background on YouTube now here, and you know, I can't hear the dialogue or anything, but the actual things they're doing, it just switches from them killing regular people to cops. You know, I'm like about a third of the way through it, and now they kill cops instead of regular people. Ugh. You know, and the cops are on the payroll and something I've read about the plot. It just doesn't seem like I don't know. This is too nihilist for me.
Yep.
Too nihilist for Gary. And it's not. I'm not one of those people who needs games to be like super fun and happy or anything either. Like, I just did a Emily Caldwin kills every fucking person in Karnaka run of Dishonored, and the deaths in that game are ridiculous. Like you know, there's a execution. Or it's not even a special move. It just happens when someone's gonna die, where someone tries to kick you and you cut off their leg, and then they look at it for a second, and then you stab him in the face.
Oh,
like
Jesus
it's super
Christ.
violent. Like it's real bad. Like it's real violent, and it's like it's the context that like oh, I think this character is kind of good, you know, and this idea of this person who is like had this wrong done to them, taking it out on actual people who did it.
God, I can't wait to play that.
It's really good.
Yeah.
Like revenge is a thing that works on me. That was my point. I am not a prude. I just don't like the gratuitous is also a thing that I'm sensitive to.
Yep. And gratuity is something that I freely give when I frequent any service.
Duckfeed.tv/tip jar. But yeah, so hopefully you don't feel like this was a bad use of your patronage.
No,
because I'm so glad I got to play it again. It illustrated, and even just mechanically, like it illustrated some things I do not like. Like I do not like this camera. I do not like this cover system where cover doesn't actually matter.
If you're listening to this and you're thinking, man, I would like to see that artifacting kind of applied in a very good way, download and play the Kitty Horror Show game. Anatomy. Which is an indie horror game that is kind of like a found footage VHS kind of thing, but it uses the VHS artifacting in a really, really good way.
That's cool.
It's like a $2 game on itch.io. Yeah.
It might even include that like gigantic bundle, that charity bundle that just came out.
Play it. It's very good. It's also like an hour long.
Oh, that's fantastic. I will play it. I'll probably play it tonight. An hour long is the magic words. So, this was Kane and Lynch 2, Dead Days. So thank you, Frederick, for your support.
Thank you.
And we really do appreciate it. If you want to also dictate games to play to us, you can do that by becoming one of our patrons. If you go to patreon.com/Duckfeed.tv, you give us $5 a month, you get an extra episode of this show. If you give us, is it 15 to pick a game?
25.
25 to pick a game. It's I love playing games. Like I like this doing more new game stuff. We talked about in the most recent premium episode, like what we're going to do with all these just kind of like shitty games we have lying around.
Yep. Although you're going to be giving somebody a copy of Tomb Raider Underworld. Yeah,
they it took me a long time to get this.
Yeah.
And there's evidence on the package of it being misshipped and stuff. On the package, on the shipping package, it says Kane and Lynch 2. On the actual game that was Tomb Raider Underworld. So I have a copy of Tomb Raider Underworld for the PS3. Up for grabs.
Which I understand is, wait, that's another Eidos thing, isn't it? Square Enix. Yeah. Also, I understand is thoroughly mediocre.
Yeah, that was the one that's like, it kind of splits the difference between the remake and the old ones. Like it still feels very much like the old ones, but not.
A little bit. That's the one that came after the the remake and the one that was after the remake. This is the third. Okay. This is the third one after so it was Legend, Anniversary, and then Underworld. And Underworld was like really dumb.
Okay.
Whereas Legend and Anniversary were kind of okay and pretty good.
Okay. Yeah. I have a weird the time for tangents is over.
Yes.
I have a weird affection for those old Tomb Raider games. Like I played 1 and 2 a lot. I don't think those are terrible.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you guys very much for that. What else can they do, Cole? What else is admin?
This is the first episode that we've recorded after Duckstream. I know that's weird. Oh, yeah. We record these in batches. Thank you everybody who turned out for that. We amassed just over $11,000 for Transactive on that here in early November. Yes.
1,000. Yeah. Just under 12,000.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, sorry. I couldn't remember if it was 11.3 or if it was 11.7. 11.8, yeah. 11.7, yes. But yes, thank you everybody for your just staggering generosity. I'm going to be cutting that check here tonight, and I'm literally afraid to put that in the mail.
It is going to be a little bit. I get that. It's definitely a little weird, but just keep an eye on it, and then because you can always cancel a check, or you could do like a cashier's check, because those require ID and stuff like that. That might be worth a trip to like a 7-Eleven or something. Anyway, this is premium content.
This is not premium content.
No, I meant like premium in a good sense.
Oh yeah,
like us discussing ways to transfer large amounts of charity money. But anywho, thank you guys very much for that. I definitely echo that. I really do appreciate it. Yeah, and you can also rate and review the show. Things like that are all very useful if you like that. So thank you, and there are some calls to action, but mostly thank you. And until next time, who is Dog Days? Who is Zoo Dog Days? Now, this has been Zoo Dog Days. Kane Lynch 3 Zoo Dog Days.
Oh, yeah. Shit, I would love that.
It would just be them murdering Zoo Dog, though.
I would not love that.
Just torturing Zoo Dog for 2 hours. Like, for
some reason, I pictured either converting people or converting them into horses and barn animals against their will.
We gotta strap up, grab your matter and reassembler.
we have some librarians to embarrass.
Grab the Moreau device. We gotta go. Like if you just took these characters and transformed them into a series of more unlikely and like fantastical things, like I would 100% play the Kane Lynch game where they're kidnapped by aliens. If everything else was the same, like if they were just like, I can't believe you got me in another situation. It's all right. The ends justify the means. You know, they just like did this. Like that would be fantastic. I don't buy the rights to this. Like super, super good.